A very good afternoon, Team Zimbabwe. Maswera say, Maswera say, Maswera say. I'm very sorry, I'm late. We had scheduled this some 30 minutes ago, but I came late. But let us talk about this. So there was a coup which was planned against Nelson Chamisa. This was pre-planned. If you go back to history, soon before the elections, Wopo Chingon was saying was talking about Nelson Chamisa's loss, and he clearly said that will be the end. He said if Nelson Chamisa loses, that will be the end of him. The major question is, how did they conclude? They made a conclusion which was based on a coup d'etat on Nelson Chamisa. So initially, what they were planning for Advocate Nelson Chamisa is that they knew that Nelson Chamisa would win the election. They knew that Nelson Chamisa was commanding a great number of followers. And I'm going to explain how things went. Remember, Taiwan Chimchain's Mandla and all V11s were uploaded and updated on Mandla. Those results were supposed to be given to Nelson Chamisa in time. And they were never presented to Nelson Chamisa. All the V11s were put together, results were tallied, but were never presented to Nelson Chamisa. This was at a time when Nelson Chamisa needed this evidence before the courts to say, this is what we have. And he was relying on Mandla, more importantly. But the results were not released to Nelson Chamisa. People started to ask questions. Where are the results, this and that? And we started having different explanations. We had to come live so as to try by all means possible to make the people remain calm. At the end, Nelson Chamisa ditched the court processes. It was all because of something which was pre-planned. All the mapping which happened was pre-planned to make sure that people will focus on something which will not work for this election. We put resources on mapping. We put our time on mapping. We put effort on mapping. But that didn't help us, especially in the rural areas. Every resource was deployed, but we still lost. So you understand that one thing which was supposed to turn this election were the results from Manja, but they never showed up. Why? It's because some comrades within Triple C gave an instruction to say, stop, don't give those results, don't publish those results, don't give them to Nelson Chamisa. And they never did. They started to tell stories which started to demotivate people. And during that particular period, they were pressing for action. This was about now street action. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to force, they knew for sure that Nelson Chamisa could no longer approach the courts because of how they withheld certain information which was needed for court preparations. Which means Nelson Chamisa was simply going to be humiliated in court, and he ditched that. After he ditched that, they clapped hands, and they started to say, Munum Road, let us go into the streets, Munum Road. But the question was, do we have the results to actually back this issue equity Munum Road? And the answer was different. Then you understand that at that particular moment, the reason why they were pushing Nelson Chamisa so much was they wanted Nelson Chamisa to be on the forefront, confront the regime, put people into the streets. Who was the first target? Nelson Chamisa was the first target. He was either going to be assassinated or he was going to be locked up. During that particular moment, people were going to be more angry on the arrest of Advocate Nelson Chamisa. But then his health was going to deteriorate while he is in prison. And that was going to create a justification of another person different to Nelson Chamisa to get into power or to take over the reins of power. So they would justify that and say, Nelson Chamisa is not well, so we are taking over the reins of power. So they were just going to use Nelson Chamisa to catapult or to be the catalyst of the protests in Zimbabwe. Then they put him behind bars, or they will let him get behind bars. Then they'll say, let's go and flood the streets so that our leader comes out. That was going to be the most deadly moment, the moment of madness in Zimbabwe. But they knew that their agents would have done or dealt with Nelson Chamisa already. That was their main plan and main objective, which means we were going to have change in Zimbabwe, but not with Nelson Chamisa at the helm or at the top. That was what was the agenda all about. These people, very organized, well financially oiled, and were ready to execute that. So they realized that Nelson Chamisa then ditched that plan of going to court, ditched the plan of putting people into the streets because he knew about all these things. Then they said, okay, let us push for MPs not to go to parliament. And Nelson Chamisa left it to the MPs to make a decision. The MPs got into parliament. When the MPs got into parliament, then they said, okay, what is next here? Nelson Chamisa is refusing to put people into the streets. Nelson Chamisa is saying, let us wait for Sadiq. All these things which are happening. What is going on? Then they moved to the plan of using Sengezo Shavangu. And we are at where we are right now. Their main aim is to make sure that they deal with Nelson Chamisa up to the end. They want to weaken Nelson Chamisa. That is the reason why you see some forces coming online on Twitter, forcing Nelson Chamisa, telling Nelson Chamisa what to do, to say, Isavanum Road, ita is. It's something which is being planned to make sure that they shame Nelson Chamisa. So their whole agenda is anti-Chamisa. These are coordinated people. They have meetings in the UK. They have meetings in the US. That is the reason why you see there's a runner boy who is connecting everybody physically. He will pretend to be going to Qatar. He goes through Kenya. He lands in Kenya. Have a meeting there. He then goes to Qatar. He have meetings there. He go to United Arab Emirates. Have meetings there. He will go to Australia. Have meetings there. He will go to USA. Have meetings there. He is there to run around. This is a man who was arrested together with Job Sikala. He extracted much needed information. Then he went out of prison and is now a free man. Nobody touches him. No matter what he said or what he says, nobody touches him. And you ask, what is really going on? So this is very sensitive information, but we have to say it as it is. So to those who are saying Nelson Chamisa ana plan, to those who are saying Nelson Chamisa aka relax, to those who are saying Nelson Chamisa should do A, B, C, D, you have to understand that Nelson Chamisa must be very careful and must be very considerate. Whatever he does, he must do it wisely, because he's now facing two fronts. He's facing the regime, he's facing the opponents, a part of the opponents who are part of the regime and a part of the Shavangos. And these are people who are planted within his party. So right now, they've been exposed, and one after another, they are attacking Nelson Chamisa. I talked about Freeman Chari. I'm not going to hide this. I talked about Freeman Chari when he posted something on Twitter, when he was talking about accountability of funds and monies, whatever. He talked about Marizema agents, he talked about the car, he talked about a lot of things. And I said, why is he saying this and Shavangu is also saying the same? Where is Shavangu getting all this information? It's because they were working together. On the eve of the elections, they were sabotaging the opposition, making sure that every agent is strangled. That is the reason why that money which was meant for agents came late, came way after the elections, is because they wanted to make sure that hakuna deployment yema agents, especially kumamisha. They wanted to suffocate everybody. The blame will be put on Nelson Chamisa at the end of the day, but it wasn't Nelson Chamisa. Some of us, we ended up putting our hands into our own pockets to make sure that we have agents on the ground. Some of us, we ran around tichinokweleta mari. Some of the people online came and assisted us kuti tikwanise kuita a full deployment of agents because of such sabotage yaitika. Personally, ndakazvionera ndega, and somebody called me and said, mwana wamai, the sabotage which is happening, let us assist. That is how we managed to deploy agents. There was pure sabotage which was happening, and right now it is still happening. They wanted to sabotage. They sabotaged the election. They sabotaged the processes, Vanamandla, and everything else. They sabotaged the issues of going to court. Now they are sabotaging the MPs. They've realized that without Nelson Chamisa, they are nothing, because ZANU-PF won 7 out of 9. Which means without Nelson Chamisa, hapana. And they've realized, okay, so without this guy, if this guy decides to sit back, then we are doomed. And Nelson Chamisa is not making a move, which means Nelson Chamisa remains where he is, and he remains with his influence, because everyone is looking at Nelson Chamisa and saying, what's next? Which means Nelson Chamisa will need to make a move. Nobody's talking about Tyson. Nobody's talking about Vanadagi. Nobody's talking about all other contestants who were there. Zitandra Chamisa chat. Why? It's because they know Kuti Nelson Chamisa holds the mantle to deliver Zimbabwe from evil. But they wanted to hijack. They wanted to have a coup on Nelson Chamisa. That is the reason why Nelson Chamisa said, okay, relax. I'm not going to play according to your plans. I am going to play it my own way. So, we are glad and happy that the power makers knew about this way before, and they advised in time about the consequences which were going to be faced if certain things were done. That is the reason why you see everything is on hold right now. And all people are looking at Nelson Chamisa and saying, why is it that your party is being destroyed and you are doing nothing? Up to an extent of trying to hire journalists to say, put pressure on Nelson Chamisa online. Make sure that you publish things about Nelson Chamisa missing, what, so that when the people hear about that, they will become angry and they will start to look for an alternative. It's already happening. They are trying to send a narrative. Nelson Chamisa is not there, but he is actually there. So I am going to come and talk about why the rally was postponed. I'm going to come and talk about that on a particular episode later. But this time around, this is what I wanted to share with you. So Team Zimbabwe, let us share these videos. Let us be vigilant enough to understand the kind of people we are dealing with. These are people who are threatening democracy in Zimbabwe, who are threatening change in Zimbabwe. They don't want change. Why? It's because these are people who are part of the 15 billion loot which happened during the GNU. So they will never, ever let Nelson Chamisa take over power, and they will never, ever allow the Garwe to be removed from power, because they know that if the Garwe is to sink all of them, they are going to sink all of them. They will be in exile, if not in prison, or if not in Chikurubi, because they are part of the masterminders of the 15 billion loot. It is what it is. Those are very valuable. So, Team Zimbabwe, let us be vigilant and let us continue to rally behind Advocate Nelson Chamisa. A lot is happening, but we are getting there.